Welcome to the Market Engage Thrive podcast, where we help you navigate the online marketing and entrepreneurial jungle. If you love marketing, automation, and all things productivity, you're going to like it here. And now, here is your host, Sam Picarello.
Welcome to another episode of the Market Engage Thrive podcast. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. My name is Sam Picarello, business strategist, and really appreciate you hanging out with me today and lending me your ears. I hope you find this episode helpful. If you do, be sure to subscribe, maybe even leave a review. I would appreciate that. That would be awesome. And yeah, hope you enjoy this. So let's get started. Today, I'm going to discuss the 6 systems you need in your business. I love systems. I talk about systems all the time. I think systems are essential for business growth. Systems really help you transition from you being the business to actually having a business. If it's you doing everything within your business, you are the business. If something were to happen to you, then you don't have a business. So that's where systems come into play. They enable you to actually scale and remove yourself from your business and make it easy for anybody just to come and plug into your business and run it for you, except for maybe a few of the things that only you can do. So that's what systems do for you, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. I'll be talking about 6 systems that everyone should have in their business. And just to be clear, my podcast, the content that I develop, is geared towards my service-based community, your coaches, consultants, freelancers, and so on. So that's who the content is developed for. I don't really speak much to physical product entrepreneurs, self-employed people. I just don't speak to that. So I speak to service-based people today. And so starting and building and growing business, it's exciting. It's what us entrepreneurs, we love doing it. We thrive on growing. We thrive on doing. We thrive on accomplishing and achieving. But some business owners find themselves working longer hours than they ever did when they had a job and probably making less money. So they're driving themselves into the ground. They're working 40, 80, 100 hours a week and most likely making a lot less than they would have done had they stayed in their jobs and worked those 100 hours for the job and get overtime. So the goal of being in business is not to work yourself into the ground. The goal when you start a business, once you have the foundational pieces in place, it's time for you to start thinking about how you can scale and then remove yourself for a majority of the functions in your business, because that's how you get freedom. Because regardless of what kind of business you have, running a business is a full-time job. And if you are the only person in that business, you are going to be working full-time. So that can bring us into, that can kind of segue into different topics as far as outsourcing and, delegating and automation and systems, a whole gamut of things. But I'm just going to focus on just systems that you should have in place. These systems, they could be automated or they can be manual, but as long as they are systematized and they are created as a process and organized, so that way you can just repeat them over and over again, and eventually you are fit to delegate them to somebody else to do it for you. A good example that I can give you, I do a lot of outreach, a lot of emails, and instead of me, I have my form emails that I have, different ones that I use. So instead of me spending maybe 2 hours a day reaching out to people via email, this is manual outreach. This is not newsletter or email marketing, just manual outreach. I can just create the emails. I have three or four templates that I use, and I can give that to VA, and she can have the list of prospects that I want to talk to, and then she can handle that for me. If I want to make the list bigger, I can give her criteria, and she can go research more people for me to add to the database for her to reach out to. So this is an example. That is a system. I created the system. Yes, it's done manually, but I have somebody else doing it for me instead of me spending hours each week doing that. The outreach part is essential for me to grow my business, to bring in more customers, to bring in more income. But do I really have to be the one doing it? Not really, because there is no personal interaction, so to speak. Maybe if the person responds to the VA, I get that in my inbox anyway, then I can start communicating with the person directly. But the initial email, I don't have to send it myself. This other person can do it for me. So this is just an example of what a system can do for you. It's not automated, it's manual, but it's a process that has been created that is saving me money. Yes, it costs money to pay the assistant to do that, but it doesn't cost as much as me spending that time doing it, because my hourly rate my pay grade is higher than the assistant's pay grade. So I hope that makes sense. And just a way for you to look at what is it you do in your business every day and really just ask yourself, is this below my pay grade? Could I take these few hours I'm spending on this thing, spend them doing something else and probably make more money? Or generate more income, or get more prospects, find more clients. And it would make more sense for me to hire somebody to do that and then just pay them to do it for me while I focus on the important stuff in my business. So I'm just going to go over this. That was just an example just to show you how it would work. And that's just a delegation system. But I'm going to go over the 6 systems that you should automate in your business. And one thing I want to just kind of lead with is that products or services, a product or a service, they make you money. Systems is what make you a fortune. Systems, they make you a fortune because you make it easier for you to scale and replicate everything almost automatically. Because once you create a system, you can probably delegate a huge portion of it to staff. And once that system is proven, now obviously you don't just create the system first time and then delegate it. As you go through your trials and errors, and then your failures and your feedback and your successes, you're going to be refining that system. And then once you have a system that's working for you, delegate the majority of it so that you can just focus on servicing clients or creating products or whatever it is that you do. So the 6 systems, I already mentioned this, is the outreach system. You have to have a system in place. How do you find people who are best suited for your business? How do you find them? Do you sit there and wait for them to come? Do you scroll through Facebook feed all day? Do you go on LinkedIn every day? What is it that you do that brings people to you, that makes people aware of who you are and what you do? And what is, and the other thing you can think about as well when you do that, when you outreach, is platform building. What is it that you're doing to build your platform every day? And then think about these steps and the things that you are doing, and then actually make a workflow, a system out of them. So you have assigned times and days when you do this, and then what are the steps that you're doing? Because sometimes we could say, okay, I used to use LinkedIn quite a lot to generate business. I don't do as much now, but I used to. And initially what I would do, I would log into LinkedIn, and then, you go into maybe groups, and then you end up getting sucked into the groups, and you're reading, maybe you're commenting and you're reading. And then before you know it, you've spent 5 hours doing something, and that's pretty not what you went in there for to begin with, because there was no plan. It was just like, oh, people said LinkedIn groups are good for, lead generation, so I should go in there. But I didn't have a plan. Now, when I go, I don't do LinkedIn as much, but later on when I had a plan, I don't know what my purpose was, what the goal of the action was, then I spent a lot less time on LinkedIn and really optimized how I was using it. So that was part of the example for the outreach and platform building. If you are creating, like guest posting maybe, or if you are doing whatever activities that you're doing to build up your platform, to make people aware of who you are and what you do, and also to kind of bring people into a funnel for outreach. How do you find these people? How do you identify if they're possible ideal clients, and then how you reach out to them, and then have that systematized, documented in a workflow, and then you have, certain emails that you do send, and then have someone take care of that for you. If you're at the stage, if you're not even at that stage where you can outsource, then you just create a system for you, so it makes it easier and it keeps you on track every time you're doing any outreach activity, because you know exactly what to do, when to do it, and what to send. And then later on, as I said, when you scale, you can just outsource that to somebody else. So outreach and platform building, that's something that you need to, as a system that you need to have in your business. One of the big ones, clearly, is sales and marketing. Now, sales is not marketing. Marketing is not sales. Marketing leads to sales. So marketing is exposures, letting people know what it is that you do, letting people know about your brand, your offering, your positioning, and that you can help them solve their problems. And then the sales is when you convert people from prospects and leads to buyers. That's your sales process. So you need to have those processes in place. And what I mean by that, the marketing process, that could be anything from running advertising to manual outreach to any kind of lead generation, maybe local events that you go to, maybe, meetups, maybe joint ventures. There are different ways you can market. Marketing basically is letting people know about you, getting visible, getting exposure, and then really positioning yourself or your brand, your business, as the answer to a specific audience's problem. That's what marketing is. You're positioning yourself. So systems, you could have any kind of system. There are a gazillion different ways for you to market your business. It's going to depend on your niche, on your ideal clients, on your stage of growth. Where are you? Are you doing it manually? Is it automated? Are you spending money on advertising? Are you not? That's going to depend on, lots of different elements. But the point here is that it has to be a system. So it's not just throwing spaghetti at the wall or spray and pray and then hope it works. Is that before we start the quarter, we have to have a plan and have it documented how we're going to market the business. How are you going to let people know about you and bring them into the fold, bring them onto your list, and then make complete strangers actual, prospects, make them leads, make them cold leads or hot leads. How are you going to do that? So before you go into it, you have to have a plan and a process and a system. So a system is basically what? It's something that once you set it, you can replicate it over and over and over again. So you don't have to, be overwhelmed. You don't have to second guess yourself. Create one, go do it. See what kind of feedback you get. If it did not work, you can always change it and adapt it, but you have to have a system in place. And then you have the sales system. The sales system is how you convert your leads, your prospects, into buying customers. That's the conversion, how you convert them. Some people convert prospects via phone. They get on the phone. Some people convert prospects via email. Some people convert prospects via webinars or workshops. Or maybe if you are a speaker, how you convert people is on the stage. You speak and then you do your pitch and then you collect payment right there and then. I've seen people do that. So that's your conversion event. How do you convert people to buying customers? What are the steps? So just take that and then document it. And you have your marketing system in place, and then you have your sales system in place. And then usually your marketing system leads to your sales system. Maybe you have multiple ways that you convert people, you convert prospects into buying customers, and that's perfectly okay. But have it documented so that if it's you doing like for the outreach, step number one is the outreach, and then you set a time to talk with them. Then you're going to speak to them, and maybe your conversion event, your sales system is actually the phone call. When you talk to them, how do you go about that phone call? What kind of questions do you ask them? What's the process that you take them through once you convert them into a hot lead, get them on the phone, and then you talk to them? What's the process after that? And then they say, okay, I will work with you. What do you do after that? So that's how I'd like you to kind of change your framework and then the kind of mindset and the way you look at business is that everything is sequential. There's a sequence of events, and then you could save yourself a lot of overwhelm and confusion if you approach everything that you do as a sequence. Everything leads to another thing. There is really no end, because even if you do enroll somebody as a client and you service them and then they're no longer working with you because they've gotten what they needed from you, the cycle doesn't end there, just because actually the easiest customer to get is the one that has already worked with you. It's the one that has already spent money with you. These are the easiest to get versus bringing in new leads that you have to nurture and convert. Those people, they've already worked with you. They know how good your work is. And it's much easier to sell to them again, to help them again, because they know, oh, she's really good or he's really good at what he does. So once they've already bought from you, you can go into a nurture system for past clients. And then once in a while, you can always reach out to them and then see what they need, because you should always have the kind of the customer's journey in mind, different stages. People come to you for one thing and then they may need another, and then they need another, and they need another. So it never quite ends. So that's why it's always good to approach business as a sequence of events. What happens first, second, third, fourth, and then how do we create a system that kind of follows the steps in the sequence and save us overwhelm. It may be a little tiresome to do at first. It's boring, definitely. Like nobody really gets a kick out. Well, some people do. I like creating sequences and creating frameworks, and that's how my brain works. I like it to make sense before I do it. That's just how I am. Some people not so much. But it serves you well in the long term to take time and then think about the sequence of events that you will take people through. So this was kind of long-winded, but this is your sales and marketing. Your marketing is how people get to know about you, position yourself, and get to know, like, and trust you as well. And then the sales is how do you convert these prospects to buying customers? What is it that you do to convert them to buying customers? So think about that, have it documented, and create a system for it. Again, the system doesn't have to be automated. It can be manual, but document it so that you're not skipping steps and you're not reinventing the wheel each time you're doing something, because that will waste your time and that will really rob you from experiencing, when you repeat a process over and over again, you know what works, what doesn't. But if you change it each time you do it, then you're not getting any kind of feedback because you're changing the formula each time. So that was sales and marketing. Number 3, it's really an easy one, but I'm surprised how many people don't do it, is your scheduling. That's a time waster. If someone wants to make an appointment with you for you to go back and forth with them, I still do that sometimes because some people just don't. You give them the link, but they don't go to schedule, or sometimes just send you an email to say, hey, I have these times, when can we speak? And then I respond to them with, a time. But scheduling is important because I do that for a few parts of my business. Is, everybody has a link. They go, they book their time, they get their reminders. I don't even have to think about it because all I do is get an email that tells me so-and-so booked a time with you at this time, at this date. And my calendar is already synced up. It shows up on my calendar and I know the reminders are going out each time. And then I have it hooked up to my email marketing, so they get a follow-up message after the appointment. And then I don't have to do anything. Literally, I just have to make sure that I am available for that call. And sometimes I do something manual. If it's someone I hadn't spoken to before, I will email them first thing in the morning just to make sure that we're still on, even though they get reminders. But it's surprising. Sometimes, people book appointments and they don't show up. But so I'd rather just give them a reminder in the morning and then prompt them to say, hey, if you can't make the call, please do let me know. And that email, I don't type it by hand. I have it in the canned responses. You just click, and then I can send it to them. So because that has happened a few times where I had random people book appointments and then they just don't show up. And it's kind of very, very infuriating because your schedule got messed up because suddenly you have these, 1 hour or 2 hours wide open and you could have planned something else to do, in that time. So scheduling is number 3. Number 4, and it's something I've been working on a lot lately, is bookkeeping and money management. So I have a story for you. I have a client, you know who you are if you're listening, that I used to use PayPal billing and actually just use manual billing. Just send an invoice and then they pay and that's it. But it's manual. So I had a couple of months where I was really, really busy and I was going through a lot of different transitions and my workload was pretty huge. So I dropped some balls, and those balls were the client was not billed for 2 months. And so when I realized that, the work was still getting done, so the time was still billable. It's just that I did not send an invoice. So the problem was mine and it was my fault, but the time is still payable, still billable. So I had this dilemma was, well, okay, I can catch up with my invoices and email them, but that would not be fair to hit somebody with 3 months worth of invoices at once. But it's just me. It should not be, because that money would be aside anyway, but it's just how I felt about it. It just kind of didn't sit right with me, and because it was my fault. So when that happened, I said, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I am going to go and pay for a service that just automatically bills people that work with me for the long term. So I signed up for 17 hats, and it is, once you set it up, it is beautiful, because when I have clients an ongoing basis, or I have ones who are 3 months, or I have some who are 2-month commitments, or even for my group programs, is, if they have a 2 monthly payment, then it just links up to that. You send a contract, they sign a contract, they give it back to you, and then an invoice goes out to them automatically and is scheduled to go out every single month. You can set the duration like 3 months or 6 months, as I said, or whatever the duration may be, and then it just goes out automatically. They get the invoice, and if they don't pay, they get an automatic reminder after a few days, and it's just, that's something that I just got to get off my plate, and that is a system. And then within 17 Hats, you can do your bookkeeping, your money management, and kind of categorize your expenses if you link it up to, I use a PayPal card that's linked up to my business account. So I use that card to pay for everything that's business related, and then 17 Hats links up to the PayPal account, and then we can pull all the transactions from there and then just kind of categorize everything. So once in a while, I just go in there and then just click around and categorize my expenses for the week. So a money management system and a bookkeeping system, you can set a day aside. And clearly I dropped the ball for about 2 months with the one client because I was doing things on the fly, and it just fell off my radar, but everybody else was caught up and paid. There was just that one person that I dropped, and mainly because I was doing things on the fly rather than having a system in place to make sure that I stay on top of it, and then I'm not missing any tasks, any activities. So the answer was just to automate it. It's just the easiest. I think it's like $43 a month if you buy month to month, but if you buy the year ahead, it's $17 or $19. If you buy a whole year up front, it's worth it because it automates your billing and then you're done. And at least you are collecting your payments, and then you have a place where everything's stored and everything is organized. So it's just one less thing that I have to do manually. So I suggest you do that as well. And then the number five, the number five is the content creation system. So this is a biggie. I talked a few days ago, I think a couple of podcast episodes ago, about content creation. This is a huge problem for a lot of small business owners because as an online business owner, content is essential. Content is like the cornerstone of your marketing. It's the pillar of your marketing. I think it's probably the only pillar of your online marketing. It seems like it anyway. Content, be it video, be it written, blog posts, guest posts, whatever it is that you're doing, that's content. So, and it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming in the sense that people don't know what to write about. People don't know how to write about the things. People don't know where to put their content, their videos, whatever, how often they should do it, and what's the process. And I'm all about simplifying things, making things easier, just because I'm not lazy. Well, I can be lazy, depends on the day, but I'd rather just find an easy way of doing things, something that's more efficient than what I'm currently doing, something that's going to take me less effort, less energy to do than everybody else is doing. So I always try to find a framework, try to find a sequence in things so that I can just make sense of it, and it makes it easier for me to go through the process. So that is the case for content creation. So the first step when you're thinking about a system for content creation is what it is that you're going to write, what is it about, who is it for, and how often you're going to write it, and what's the format. You ask yourself those questions, and then you can automate part of it, but if you're writing the content, you can't automate that unless you're outsourcing the content development part of your business, and you can do that. Some of it, to get good quality content written, does cost quite a bit of money, but it depends on your budget. It just depends. But if you are developing content, then you're going to have that system. We're going to develop it. And then once it's done, we're going to focus on promoting that content instead of just churning out content on a daily, which is a lot of people get kind of sucked into that. They think the more they write, the better it is. But, I think it's better to write less and spend more time promoting that content, or write less or film less video and then hand it over to somebody to promote it for you, to say, okay, I want this blasted across all these social media platforms. I want to boost it as a Facebook ad, or I want to have it as an ad on Twitter, or whatever it is that you want to do with it. But really focus on the promotion instead of just creating the content, because for most people, content creation does take a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. And then they really overlook the promotion part, and promotion is what brings people to it. It's not the content. Literally, there's nothing new nothing original that you can write in this day and age, because the internet is just so full of information. There's nothing that's original. Well, there is, but not really, because a lot of it is just kind of founded on other ideas and other thoughts from way back. But there's nothing groundbreaking that you can develop today. So really, just focus on write less. If you're somebody who's churning out content all the time, write less, and then create a plan, a system to promote the content. So a system for creating the content. How do you go about it? What's the process? If you are a beginning writer or somebody who's not used to writing blog posts or guest posts, then there's a podcast that is here, an episode, and there is a blog post over on my website that kind of takes you through some of the questions you ask yourself about how to go about it. But simplify, create a system, and create a promotional system. So you have the idea development, you have the outline, you have the research. Well, you have the research idea, research outline, and then you're going to develop the content, write it, and then you're going to promote it. And that's where a system comes into play. And one thing I mentioned in my content creation episode is that lately, I think it's about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I started using Meet Edgar. I resisted Meet Edgar for a long time just because it was one of the more expensive social media automation tools out there. Because you could use Buffer, and that was like, I think it was $10 or $15 a month. I didn't have a problem paying for that. But Meet Edgar, at the time when I checked it out, I think it was like $47, which is not a fortune. But when you think about social media, it's like $47 a month for something that a Buffer does, or Hootsuite can do it for free. So I didn't invest in it. But finally, I just kind of went back, revisited the whole idea. And now I'm grateful that I did, because it just, as far as the content marketing system, Meet Edgar is perfect for that, because once I create a piece of content, it's added to the library within my Meet Edgar, and then once it's in the library, you set a schedule, and literally the schedule runs through all the libraries by category. So I can tell it, hey, share an inspirational quote, and this is on my Twitter, for example, and then share a blog post that belongs to someone else. All these things actually are built into the library because you have the little extension on your Chrome, and I can just add content to it on a regular basis. And I can have it also share the podcast episodes. So every time I create a podcast episode, it's added to the podcast category, and then Meet Edgar just cycles through these libraries the whole time. It basically does not run out, because once it gets to, if it's sharing podcast episodes and it gets to the end of the podcast episode library, then it just goes back to the top. And then it just keeps resharing them. So that way, nothing really just sits there and gathers dust. Everything is just sent and pushed out on a regular basis. So it's a little bit pricey, but I love it because once you put everything in there and you set it up, you can just set it and forget it every time you have a piece of content. Whereas previously you had to go into Buffer and then reschedule everything, where you can just go to analytics and look at the most popular things and then reschedule them. But with Meet Edgar, your content is there and it's just always being pushed out. So these are the 5 systems. So the last system that I have for you is your nurture sequences. So we talked about marketing, we talked about outreach, we talked about scheduling, money management, and then content creation. But one of the systems that I see a lot of small business owners lacking, most of us who are doing business online, we have email marketing, whether you're using MailChimp or Aweber or Infusionsoft or I think ConvertKit is another one. I use Ontraport. That's my favorite. What a lot of small business owners are lacking is the nurture sequences in their email marketing. When somebody comes and subscribes, what do they get? Do they get just the download email maybe, and then they start just getting newsletters, or what do they get from you? So one of the systems that we encourage everyone to have, and it's not really that complicated, just a name, I guess maybe because funnel and nurture, it sounds intimidating, but it's not. It's actually very, very, very simple. And what it is like you met somebody for the first time and you're showing them the best pieces about you. That's literally what it is. Somebody who's just new to you, they don't know a whole lot about you. So there's nothing wrong with having some of your 5 best emails, content, value, a little bit about you, maybe some testimonials from some of the people that you've worked with, and just basically introducing yourself to them. Hey, this is what I do. This is what I'm about. This is some of my best content because we have to give them value, not just talk about ourselves. And then give them some content, give them some value, and then tell them about what you do and how you do it, and then what people say about you. That's what a nurture sequence is. Yeah, they say it's not about you, it's about them. Yes, it is about them, but really it's about you. We know it's about you. So, but we can make people believe it's about them. So, and people don't really believe that it's about them. They know it's about you because they know your business. So who are trying to fool? But the whole purpose of a nurture sequence is really to build credibility and just to let people know about you. What is it that you do? Sometimes people opt into things without really knowing who's behind it. They don't know what your business is about. They just saw some link somewhere for some opt-in or some workshop, and then they opted into it. So it's your job to tell them what is it that you do, how you can help them, maybe even ask them questions. The perfect time to do that is when they first sign up to your list, because they're still kind of paying attention. Maybe you have a question included with the download button, so you can ask them to hit reply and let you know what is, I don't say struggle. Everybody asks, what's your biggest struggle? Don't ask that, but ask something a bit more specific that you can actually get an answer to, versus what's your struggle? What do you find the most, what do you struggle the most with in marketing? I could ask that question, but that's like such a broad question that people are like, okay, I have to write like a 2-page paper to answer that question. So just think of what is it you can do within your nurture sequence to get people to respond to you. But more importantly, what you can do within your nurture sequence to position yourself. But this is the 6th system that you should have in place. And that one is very easy to create. As I said, you just go through some of the emails that you've already sent out to your tribe, to your subscribers, and then find maybe your best opt-ins, your best downloads, your best videos, best podcasts, or something that you're really proud of that you've done, and then include that in your nurture sequence. It can be 5 to 6 emails. They'll get them maybe within every 2 days. They get something that just lets them know, positions you, gives them something, builds up your credibility in their eyes, and kind of for them to get to know that you're not just a random, because a lot of people will opt into things, download the PDF, whatever it is that they want, and then just not open your emails again. It does happen, but that does not mean that you should not have in place for those who are truly interested in what you have to offer, and then for you to nurture them and then bring them closer so that you have them kind of get used to opening your emails. Because if you're sending them high quality, if you're sending them value, if you're sending them actionable, I'm doing air quotes here, actionable content, then they are more likely to keep opening if they are already opening your emails. So that's what we want to do. We want to get people used to that we're not just some, sleazy salesperson who's always pitching something to them, but we actually care about their progress. We care about giving, because that's what we have to do as business owners. You got to give in order to receive. And you probably noticed, like not so recent, few years now, the trend is education and marketing. So we educate as a form of marketing to bring people closer, and then and build credibility and build rapport, and just position ourselves for that buying decision that the potential client would eventually have to make when we have something to offer to them or something to sell to them. But I definitely don't encourage just going in with a sale. I've seen that happen. You opt into something, and then right after that you get boom, 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 a pitch. I'm not opposed to it. I've done that myself a few times, where you sign up, and then you may get like an upsell thingy, and then you might get a couple of emails about that, and then we'll move into a nurture sequence where you just get in value and kind of building that rapport. But yeah, create a nurture funnel, a nurture sequence within your email marketing. I think you can do that on just about most systems out there right now, where people go, when they sign up, they go straight to that list and they get those emails first, and then they go into the general email list. This is the most basic form of it. You can get a lot more sophisticated, where people are bouncing around different sequences based on their interests and where they came in and how they opted into your list. So that was number 6. That was the nurture sequence. It's very easy, very simple. If you don't have any emails, just go look at your blog post and your blog and find your top 5 or top 3 blog posts that you have. And then just, not copy paste the whole thing, but just, kind of condense it into some bullet points maybe, and then write an email and have that go out to people when they sign up, and just positions you, and then just gives them something that other than just a regular newsletter, which I see a lot of people do. Someone would sign up, and then a month later they get a newsletter they probably still don't know who you are or what you do, but they get a newsletter about what's going on in your business, which is not quite the right way to go about it. So, online marketing is becoming a lot more sophisticated. It's becoming a lot more customized, and, don't miss the boat. Use that. There are tools out there that will help you do that. And it's really just up to you to take advantage of those tools, and, and then nurture your new prospects, help them move, from not knowing you to maybe trusting you a little bit because you look like you sound like you know what you're talking about, to maybe moving a little bit closer to eventually making a buying decision from you. That's really the goal of it. So this is going to be your bonus system. And this is something that I've been doing for a long time. But granted, I took a break from it over the last 2 months, is a engagement system. So it sounds pretty fancy, right? But it's not. My engagement system was that I always had something to invite people to. So what I did for quite a few months is have bi-weekly workshops where sometimes they were offered exclusively to my Facebook community. Sometimes they were offered exclusively to my list. Sometimes they were offered to both. It just depends on what I was working on, what I was testing. And so what that was, but every 2 weeks, I was going to be doing a live workshop on Zoom where people can jump on, listen to me, talk about a particular topic. Sometimes I will ask questions within the Facebook community to have them vote on a topic. And then I take that topic and develop a workshop for them to come and learn from me. And what it has done for me, that was, it has been good in many, many, many ways. One is I got really good, I got really used to presenting, got really used to creating slides, creating handouts, and then jumping on and just teaching on a topic, sometimes an hour and a half, and then have people give me feedback and validate my ideas and tell me that's really awesome. So that's one way that it helped. The second way is that when I was asking, and then based on the response to the workshops, that was a little bit of research, because then I get to know what my people want from me, because sometimes what we think people want is not actually what they want, and or what they want and need are two separate things, but you have to ask first and to get some ideas as to what interests them the most. So asking those questions within the community gave me feedback, and then seeing the response to the emails that I send out as an invitation to the workshop, then I knew whether the topic or what I was going to be teaching, whether it was hot or not, whether they were interested in it or they were not. So that's how I kind of got to figure that out. And then the third is really everything that I did workshops on is recorded, and I'm using it. I'm repurposing it as part of a membership community. People sign up, and then all these trainings. And the trainings were good. They were not the usual fluff, and there was no pitch in any of my trainings except one. But people just came, literally, what I was doing is I was building my reputation and my credibility to my tribe, because they need to know that I know what I'm talking about. They need to know that I have experience in this space, and they need to know that I have the answers to their problems. So it was good experience, and also it helped me generate that content and then have it put into the community. And as I said, the trainings were very, very good. They should have been paying for them, but they were very free. And the same trainings, you can go pay, $100, $200 a piece for each one. But I put it together for them. Some of it was pretty high level, and implementation is kind of challenging sometimes when you go really deep into, high level and then deep into a subject, and implementation can be a challenge. But nonetheless, they know there's a system that they can use to organize whatever part of their business, or how to get their marketing going, or how to set up Facebook ads, or content creation. And I had a few other ones about LinkedIn marketing, and lots of different ones, but they've been awesome. They were awesome for me. So that is the engagement system. So think about, what is it that you have that you can invite people to on a regular basis? What is it other than emails, which people, you're good if you get 40% open rate on your emails. I mean, in my space, that's very, very good. That's a win. And then usually the bigger your email list gets, the lower your open rate. It just keeps dropping just because you have more people on there. So always have something in mind you're going to invite people to. And, you can do an evergreen training. That's fine. And that's something that I've played around with trying it, but I haven't quite implemented it yet, because I actually really enjoy teaching live. As you can see, I can talk, and I enjoy teaching live. I enjoy engaging with people. But maybe as time goes by, I'll be crunched for more time, and maybe it will be an evergreen thing. But maybe I'll have evergreen just on my website, where people come and sign up for a workshop, and they can go straight and watch it on a particular day and time. But still, the live element, I still want to keep it. And maybe if I have less time, maybe just have them scheduled once a month. But it's essential for you to have that live engagement with people. It's essential for you to bring people to you and have something to invite them to you, because you just become just another person, dropping by their another email to delete in their inbox. But if you make it a habit to provide value and then to give them what they want and then bring them to you and then help them answer their questions. If they have a problem, ask them, hey, I'm planning a workshop for next month. Would love to know what you want to learn about, because that's what I do. I'll teach you what you need to know every 2 weeks. I'll take an hour out of my schedule to help you. And then you ask that, and then you're going to get feedback, but you need to ask it too, and you need to have a system for it. So for me, that's easier to do because I'm using, some pretty expensive automation tools, but you can do it. It doesn't have to be pricey. If you have Aweber, and then you can use Google Hangouts, or you can just go sign up to Zoom. Zoom is, I think, it's $19 a month or $15 a month. And then there you have it. You have everything you need to hold a workshop where people can see you. They can even talk to you. And then you can have Aweber, I think it's like $20 or $19 a month now. And there you go. You have a system to engage them. And you can have just the same templates, the emails set up. So you have your where people come in from, how you get people to sign up. That's where your marketing and your outreach comes into play. And if you have the engagement system in place, this what to invite people to, then you can use that when you're doing your outreach. You're reaching out to people, you're talking to them. And then if it doesn't look like they might be not quite ready for you, you have something to invite them to so they can see you in action, right? Because I think sometimes we find it too easy just to sit, kind of behind the laptop and then not go talk to people live. And I think you make a bigger impression on people when they see you live. And I believe I read an article recently, and it said that people get to either like you or hate you, but they have to see you. I believe it was 400. I think it was total of 7. They have to see you for 7 hours. Not 7 hours the whole time, but they have to see you for a total of 7 hours. So just think about that is people need to become familiar with you. So the more they see you, the more comfortable they get with you. And the closer they get to that decision, whether, I like her or him, or I don't like her or him. But you need to actually get out there and they need to get to know you instead of just hiding, behind the laptop. So that was a bit of a tangent, but that was your bonus tip, which is to have an engagement system and to have a system or a workflow created and something that is scheduled for you to actually engage live with your audience. This is especially important for you if you are in the beginning or just kind of getting started the first couple of years of your business. And if you are struggling to find more customers, more clients, the best way to cure that is to get out there more and then engage with your people, hold workshops, and free workshops. Then the ones I did were free, and then you invite people to them, and then you help them. You don't have to. You're never going to run out of things to sell to people. Initially, we had this reservation about, wow, I can't give them too much because then what am I going to sell to them? Literally, like my business is information. I don't sell like digital products, but my intellectual property is my business. So if I tell you everything that I know, then maybe you're not going to buy from me because you feel like you got everything you need. But then once I kind of adjusted my mindset around that, and I can tell you everything that I know, but that does not mean it's going to work for you. People really just want all that information and they want it put into a system for them that they can go and implement. And that's where really the biggest opportunity is for, people like me, the service-based entrepreneurs, is that we can give you the information, but a lot of the times if it's jumbled, it's not going to be any good to you. But the way to help you kind of get the success is to talk to someone who's done it a few times and then give you a system that you can go and implement. So we give you the information for free and then we sell the system. That's how that works. So if you are in my position or in my space with something similar, you're a life coach or executive coach, whatever kind of coach that you are, or a fitness coach, then you don't be shy about sharing, don't be shy about educating people, because that's how you build value into the relationship and that's how you bring people closer to converting. So I hope that helped. That was a bit of a long one, but just think about the systems that you need to have in place and think about what is it. Do you want you to be the business for the rest of your life, or do you want to have a business? Because if it's you working in it all the time, then you are the business. If you go on vacation, the business stops. But you have to figure out systems and processes to put in place, and then also have the resources available to you who people who will be able to run your business while you're not available, or run all the other little pieces, the moving parts of your business that you have no business doing anyway because they're below your pay grade. So think of it sometimes when you're tempted, and I'm guilty of this. I love to tweak, play around. I'm a bit of a techie, so I could play with the websites all day long. But sometimes I have to check myself. Yes, it's fun, but is it really helping me move towards my goals? Am I really, technically I can go on Upwork and then find somebody who can do the website work for $15 an hour. So why am I doing $15 an hour work? Is this what I want for myself? Is this really what I'm worth? Well, of course not. I'm not worth $15 an hour. I'm worth a lot more than that. But sometimes I can get sucked into it. So just want to share that with you. And also for you to keep yourself in check and make sure that you're not doing work that's below your pay grade. And then create systems in your business that will enable you to unplug from your business and bring other people and plug them in and let them take care of what needs to be taken care of so that you can focus on the things that actually make you money in your business. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you. That was a long one, so my apologies. It was 45 minutes. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you being here. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and review. Would love a review, especially as a new podcast. It helps us be seen by more people if we have more subscribers and more reviews. So please be sure to do that. And if you'd like to know more about me or ask a question, you can jump over to the Facebook community. That's sampiccarello.com/group. And the link will be in the show notes as well. And in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. Lend me your ears. I hope it wasn't too much of a rant. I got to work on these. Stop ranting. But thank you so much for being with me. I look forward to you joining me again next time. Take care. Bye.